Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It is March 15th, 2023, and we are in the Old Testament, and we are in the book of Exodus, and we're going to read chapter 21, verse 1 to 17 today. All right, the Ten Commandments. Well, I think you maybe have heard me say this before, and I'm going to say it again. I'm a Christian. What do I have to do with the Ten Commandments? And the answer is nothing. Ooh, I don't want to shock you. But you got to take everything in context. This is the Jews. They're at Mount Sinai, and God is giving the Jews laws for the Jews to live by. I am a Gentile. I've never been a Jew, not a Jew now, not going to be a Jew in the future. So these are not my laws. So they don't apply to me. I'm a Christian. I follow Christ. Now, what does Christ say? If you go to Matthew, real quick, we're going to go to Matthew 22. At verse 34, but when the Pharisees heard that he had silenced the Sadducees, they gathered together. Then one of them, a lawyer, asked him a question, testing him and saying, Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law? And Jesus said to him, You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and the great commandment. So if I'm doing what Jesus says right here, again, I don't need to worry about the Ten Commandments, because as we read them, the first 4 or 5, depending on how you count them, if I'm doing what Jesus says, I've already done those. God is everything. He's always first in my heart. I don't need to necessarily set one day aside to worship him, because I worship him all the time. I don't need to stop my work to concentrate on God, because even when I'm working, I'm concentrating on God. Everything I do, whether I'm feasting or fasting, it's all about God. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. The rest of the commandments are now covered by that. So everything in the Ten Commandments is right here in this verse. On these 2 commandments hang all the law and the prophets. So when I'm looking to a law, that's the law I want to look for. And what's the big difference? Well, in the Ten Commandments, again, this is for the Jews, like I said, but what you're seeing is a list of don't. But what does Jesus says? Do what? Love God. Love everybody else as you love yourself. That's the difference. So the Old Testament, that's that legalism, that's that letter of the law, and it's mainly for the Jews to teach them how to be that nation that God wanted. I'm a Christian. I am about the relationship between me and God, which is all about love, loving him above everything else, especially myself, and loving everybody else, especially above myself. If I'm doing those 2 things, every law that's in this Old Testament I've done. All right, so that aside, let's go ahead and read this, because why should I read this if I just said it doesn't apply to me? Well, again, it shows me about God. It's teaching me about God. What does God hate? Well, he hates these things that are in the Ten Commandments. That's why he told them not to do it. Again, he gave me a better law, but looking at the older law tells me how God wants to relate to me. Shows me how the Israelites were supposed to relate to God. Shows me why they failed and why Jesus had to come. Does that make sense? I hope so. So let's go ahead and we're going to read Exodus chapter 20, verse 1 through 17. And God spoke all these words, saying, I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself a carved image, any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children to the 3rd and 4th generations of those who hate me, but showing mercy to thousands to those who love me and keep my commandments. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless who takes his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord your God. In it you shall do no work. You nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your male servant, nor your female servant, nor your cattle, nor your stranger who is within your gates. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea, and all that is in them, and rested the 7th day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long upon the land which the Lord your God is giving you. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, nor his male servant, nor his female servant, nor his ox, nor his donkey, nor anything that is your neighbor's. May God bless the reading of his word, and may God bless you. Bye.